We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you again for everybody who's attending. And again, my name is Neil Ullman. I'm with the Energy Office at the Montana Department of Environmental Quality. This webinar is also co-sponsored by the Montana Office of Public Instruction. This webinar is being recorded. If you've logged in using your computer, you should see a drop-down menu in the dashboard on your screen that says Handouts. Feel free to download it and share it with folks you think might be interested. It includes the presentations from all three of the school bus representatives we have today, as well as contact information for myself and Maya Madrid, both in the clean vehicle technology part of the Energy Bureau. DEQ and OPI work together through EPA's Diesel Emission Reduction Act program, or DERA, to help fund the replacement of older diesel-powered school buses. This year, DEQ and OPI prioritized funding an electric-powered school bus demonstration project. The benefits to air quality, performance, and the health of the students and bus drivers are significant. We hope today's presentations provide the information school districts need to move forward. Through DERA funding, we can provide up to $148,500 to the cost of an electric bus. This funding can also be used for charging equipment. With this grant and the associated savings in no fuel, oil, filters, or other costs that go along with diesel buses, we estimate a return on investment in an electric school bus to be about 9 years. This does not include the other benefits of reduced air pollution or better health. DEQ wants to be a partner with any school district that wants to demonstrate an electric school bus, and we're happy to continue this conversation after the webinar with anyone interested. With that, I'd like to introduce today's presenters. Many, if not all of you, should be familiar with the companies, but these three are here to discuss the electric bus technologies they have to offer. First is James Johnson, Alternative Fuels Manager for the Bluebird Corporation. Next is Greg Webb, Electric Vehicle Sales Manager for Thomas Built Buses. And then we have Gary Horvat, Vice President of E-Mobility with Navistar. We'll have each of these three give up to 10-minute presentations on their electric technologies, and then we'll have about 20 minutes for question and answer afterwards. I encourage people listening in to hold your questions until Q&A, but if you have a question specific to one of the companies or need clarification on anything that's being presented, feel free to use the raise your hand feature or type in your question in that dashboard. If you're only on your phone and can't use the question feature, you can text your question to me at 406-431-0171. With that, I will hand it off to James Johnson of Bluebird. Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you, Neil, and welcome everyone. As Neil said, my name is James Johnson. I'm an Alternative Fuels Manager for Bluebird. Today, I'd like to start with a few facts about Bluebird. We were founded in 1927, and since then, back to the previous slide, please. There you go. Thank you. Founded in 1927, and since then, we've sold over 600,000 buses. All of our buses are purpose-built buses. In 2019, more than 50% of our sales were alternative fuels. And alternative fuels at Bluebird is anything that isn't diesel. So that includes propane, gas, CNG, and now electric. Next page, please. On this page, you see our three electric products. All three products are in production, and they're all deployed across the United States. We'll be going through that a little bit more here coming up in a few slides. So I'm proud to state that at Bluebird, all roads lead to electric school buses. That is where the industry is going, and we're happy to be out in front with these three fantastic products. So looking at the slide on the left-hand side, you have our Bluebird Vision. And then on the center, you have our Bluebird All-American bus, and on the right-hand side is our Type A. The Type A is manufactured in Drummondville, Quebec. The other two buses are manufactured in Fort Valley, Georgia. Today, I will be concentrating on the two buses on the left, which again, the Vision, the All-American, and they're also called Type C, Type B. Next slide, please. What I want to highlight on this page here is the fact that a lot of people don't realize that Bluebird was a pioneer in the first bus manufacturer to embrace EV technology. All the way back to 1994, we were building electric school buses. So in 94, we collaborated with Westinghouse Electric Systems to develop that first school bus. Then in 1996, Bluebird is extremely proud of the fact that we provided 6 electric shuttle buses for the Atlanta Summer Olympics. Next slide, please. Then in 2016, Bluebird was the only school bus manufacturer to receive a $4.4 million grant from the U.S. Department of Energy for the production of 10 vehicle-to-grid school buses. And in 17, we launched the current iteration of the electric school bus that you saw on the previous slide. And then in 2018, we delivered our first electric-powered buses to California and Canada. In 2020, we celebrated our 100th electric power school bus deployment. Next page, please. On this page, you can see all the different states that Bluebird has deployed an electric school bus. And we're extremely excited about the opportunity to add Montana to this map. So we really appreciate the Montana DEQ putting on this webinar and giving us the opportunity to speak to you about our fantastic electric products. Next page, please. So what I want to point out on this slide is that a lot of people, when they think about electric school bus and, how do I get started? What do I do? It just seems like a monumental task, right? But it doesn't need to feel that way. And Bluebird is making sure we're doing everything that we can to assist dealers, customers with this. We offer a total turnkey solution, and that includes helping you with the operations, with the funding, with the infrastructure. And so anyone who's thinking about an electric school bus, please contact your local Bluebird dealer for more information. Next page, please. So on this page, I want to highlight safety. Now, all the school bus manufacturers on this webinar today, we all take safety as a priority, and we're all concentrated on doing that. So we all pass the Canadian Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, which is a higher standard than the US FMVSS. So I'm proud to say that we all do that, and we're all taking the safety of the precious cargo that we carry as a #1 priority. What I want to point out on this slide is the fact that every bus that's built at Bluebird is built to pass 2 additional tests that not everyone is able to pass, and that's the Colorado rack and Kentucky pole test. So how do we do that? We put additional steel to the tune of thousands of dollars into the structure of our body, and you can't see it from the outside or inside of the bus when it's finished. You can only see it if you were there at the plant when they're building it. So we put that additional steel, and it's not aluminum, it's steel, to make sure that these buses, in the unfortunate event that there's a rollover, as the Colorado rack test for, if there's a rollover, it ensures the safety of the children. The Kentucky pole test, it ensures the structure of the roof of the bus, that if a pole or another object was to hit the bus, it's not going to cave in. So again, I'm extremely proud to say that all of our buses are made to pass those tests. Next slide, please. So in this slide, I want to point out the partnership that Bluebird has with Cummins. Cummins is a global leader in engine technology and electrified power solutions, and they are currently spending over $500 million in this industry, and Bluebird's partnered up with them. Between our Bluebird dealership, nationwide dealership, along with the nationwide Cummins Service Center, we're happy to say it's another issue that customers don't have to worry about. Again, you're not planning for events to go wrong, for the bus to have any issues, but in the event that it does, you're in good hands. We have you taken care of. Next slide, please. So this slide, you see the chassis layout for the Bluebird All-American, and you see the power drive systems, the Cummins power drive system components, and I'd like to go through a few of those. So next slide. So let's talk about the batteries. So what batteries does Bluebird use? We use Exalt batteries, and the capacity is 155 kilowatts. Each battery weighs 170 pounds and is rated at 88.3 volts. Type C and the Type D bus, they both have these. They're wired in the series in parallel to provide 620 to 700 volts. And the batteries are cooled and heated with orange Dex Cool coolant, which is controlled by a thermal management system, which I'll speak about in a couple slides. So next slide, please. So continuing with the batteries, people will ask, how far will they go? How long do they last? How much do they cost? So let's just attack a few of those questions. So our batteries are rated for 3,000 charges. What is a charge? A full charge is from 0 to 100% state of charge. Most of the time, no one is doing a full charge. You'll have your bus charged at 100%. You'll go out for the morning run. You come back, it's at 50%. You do an opportunity to charge. And let's say you take it from 50 to 100. That equates to half a charge. So with that being said, the projected life, we say 8 to 10 years. Now that doesn't mean you need to take the batteries out and you need to replace them and you need to worry about, how much is that going to cost. We're saying that the batteries will be at 80% of their capacity of what they were on day one. But at 80% with a range of up to 120 miles, you can still keep using that bus. And in fact, what we tell people and we encourage them, plan on those batteries being in your bus for the life of the bus. Next page, please. So on this page, I'm talking about the high voltage system. And on the high voltage system, the first thing I point out to people is you can't touch anything. You can't work on it. My customer can't go in there and touch it, work on any of these items because it's high voltage, right? We want to take care of our service people as well as we take care of the children on the bus. So with that being said, and as I pointed out earlier, with us being partnered with Cummins Inc., you have a nationwide dealership and you have a nationwide service network with Cummins. So in the event anything ever had to be serviced, we take care of you. So what does the high voltage system do? It receives the power from the 14 batteries that are in our bus and powers the various components throughout. As I mentioned, none of the components are serviceable, and the T3 and the SV are all American, and our Vision use the same high voltage system. Next slide, please. So here, let's talk about the motor. So on Bluebird, we use a TM4 Sumo motor. This is an industry-wide motor. You'll hear some of the other competitors are using the same motor. Ours is rated at 315 horsepower, 2176 foot-pounds of torque. We do not have a transmission, therefore you have less service parts. If you have a transmission, we're proud of the fact that we do not have one. And when we talk about the power of this motor, how does it equate? So Bluebird lets everyone know that it's comparable to a Cummins ISB 6.7 diesel engine. It weighs about 400 pounds versus 1,200 pounds for a standard diesel engine. And then you add in the weight of the transmission, right? So we're proud of the fact that it's less weight, it's small, it's compact, it gives you the same power and torque of an ISP 6.7. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the thermal management system. The thermal management system on a Bluebird bus is responsible for controlling the temperature of the batteries, the drive motor, the body, and the high voltage module. Batteries to be the most efficient, to get you that range of up to 120 miles on a Bluebird bus, need to stay around 75, 80 degrees on our Bluebird bus. The thermal management system makes sure that those batteries stay in that range. The TMS system incorporates the coolant system run throughout the radiator, and it's the same radiator that we use in the bus, as I mentioned on the very first slide, which is our propane gas CNG. So it's a common radiator in the event you needed to replace anything. And again, Bluebird goes that extra mile to make sure we commonize as many parts as we can. Next slide, please. So here again, I'm just focusing on the range of the 120 miles for both. And at the bottom, you see that the range is dependent on terrain, driver habits, and the use of heating and AC. I'll give you an example on the heating. Our bus in North Dakota, if you're running the heaters on full blast and you're just sitting and you're out there not moving, just sitting there, you're using approximately 20% of your range. So it depends on, making sure that you do the analysis of your route, making sure you're using these electric buses on the best route, the best terrain, using the driver habit of the regenerative braking. On yesterday, we were talking with our dealer out in California, and they're getting some fantastic results with their drivers and regenerative braking. And we encourage anyone who's interested in hearing more about that to contact their Montana dealership, and they'll put them in contact with California, and you can hear more about the excellent results we're getting on regenerative braking. Next slide, please. So charging, it's a common question everyone asks. Do I need to use level 2? Do I need to use DC fast charge? What's right for me? Well, beautiful thing with the Bluebird bus is you get both. It comes as a standard feature for any bus that's ordered for Montana. You will have both AC and DC capabilities. So we'll step into that a little bit further. Next slide. So let's talk about AC. So in order to have AC, you need a level 2, AC charging level 2. You need a SAE J1772 plug. It's standard, so you're going to be all set there. The power required to get the 19.2 kilowatt per hour charge, what you're going to have to do is be able to connect up to a single phase 240 80 amp current with a 100 amp fuse. This is not an issue for any customer that we've seen, and I don't expect it to be. What we do want to point out, though, is if you're only using, for example, 58 amp circuit breaker, you're not going to be charging at the max of 19.2. You're going to be charging at 9.6. So again, that's one of the questions that we go through when we're originally talking to a customer about their interest and making sure they understand all the facts of how everything works. We take all those issues off the table for you. The charge time would be approximately 8 hours. And then another question that people ask is, what am I looking? And you're looking to spend is going to be $2,000 to $5,000. Next slide, please. So with the DC fast charge level 3, so it's a combined charging system level 1, and you see the plug here, you see the receptacle. So on the Bluebird bus, the one that you would receive, you would have that receptacle, and if you notice the top of it, that's where a level 2 would plug in. And then the whole receptacle is where the DC fast charge level 3 is charging in. Now, the difference between the DC fast charge level 3 is that you need to power that with a 3-phase 480 volt alternating current with 130 amp continuous. Now, the beautiful part about it is your charge time goes from 8 hours down to 3 hours. And you see the cost is significantly different. So where you're looking at spending $2,000 to $5,000 for a level 2, now you're looking at spending $20,000 to $60,000 for the level 3. Next slide, please. So just want to touch on a few other items that Bluebird assists our customers with, and that's the training that we provide. So we have online, on location, and at the Bluebird plant, we offer EV driver training, technician training, technical training, and soon we'll be offering EVSE, electric vehicle supply equipment training. Next slide, please. So as mentioned several times during this presentation, Bluebird's extremely proud of the fact that we've partnered up with Cummins Inc. and their service network across the United States. So on this page, you can see all the different Cummins service centers as well as Bluebird technicians. And we love to show this so we can help, again, assure people that when you buy your electric vehicle, you can see that in the event you had any issues, you're going to be taken care of. Next slide, please. So in closing, I want to thank everyone again for joining this webinar, providing the opportunity for me and for Bluebird to present our product. And if you have any questions, please contact John Lucero at Hartley School Buses at the contact information provided here. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim. Now we're going to have Greg Webb go from Thomas Built Buses. Let me get you unmuted, Greg. Oops. Oh. Greg, I think you need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, next slide, please. So first, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of Thomas Bus and Proterra. We'd like to say thank you for allowing us to be part of this presentation and this opportunity. Going forward, just let everyone know that we're in partners with I-State Truck Center in Montana. They are our dealer rep there. Nick Clausen is the sales manager. They have service centers in Great Falls, Missoula, and Billings. They can help with anything bus related, that any needs that you may have. Next slide. Daimler Trucks North America has a global initiative to electrify its entire portfolio of commercial vehicles. DTNA brings global experience of electrifications that both TBB and our customers will benefit from. Thomas Bus will continue to borrow those best technologies from those global experiences as our future continues to grow and develop. As you can see in this slide, they have electrified the Cascadia, EM2, of course, their C2 Julie, and the E-Canter have all been electrified. And the one thing that I would like to point out on this slide is 4 different products, 4 different electrifications. So that's how large our bandwidth is when it comes to electrifying vehicles. Next slide. When we talk about purchasing an electric vehicle, TBB, Daimler Trucks North America consider this as a journey, and it's very important. This slide indicates how we view a customer's journey. There are many key points in this journey a customer will take, from inquire to repurchase. There are 4 key phases of life for a vehicle. Here you see the significant milestones of each of these phases. The biggest step is the infrastructure design. The infrastructure design consists of site review, infrastructure, construction planning, permitting, facility preparation. Both Daimler and Proterra have teams that can assist in this infrastructure installation. We want to lead with the long view in the market. To do so requires Thomas to begin to offer solutions over the life of electric bus. Next slide, please. Just as some specifications overview, our bus's range is up to 135 miles. We have 220 kilowatts of battery capacity, 295 peak horsepower, 2-speed transmission. We can charge from 0 to 100% in 3.3 hours with a DC 60 kilowatt charger. And our DC fast charger connector is a J1772 CSS1. Next slide, please. Proterra and Thomas Daimler and Thomas selected Proterra as a provider for our electric powertrain through their experience in the transit market. Proterra produces the battery packs, battery management software, chargers, charger software, telematics, and diagnostic software. Proterra also has an infrastructure team that can assist the customer in this journey from beginning to end. Thomas Julie and Proterra is a fully integrated powertrain solution. We do not rely on multiple vendors for various electrical system components. Next slide. Proterra transit buses have deployed all the segments in the whole country. Transit buses are operating in multiple environments throughout the US and Canada, with over 700 units sold, over 100 customers, 41 states and provinces, and over 10 million miles, proven miles. Next slide. As I said earlier, we are a fully integrated system. As you can see here, Proterra, their batteries are made in Burlingame, California. They have a facility in Greenville, which we work directly through on a lot of the design and testing for and powertrains. Once the batteries are made, they're shipped to our Freightliner custom chassis in Gaffney, South Carolina. Once the chassis has been completed, it is shipped to Thomas, where we build the body and mount it to the chassis. All this is close proximity to design and manufacturers enables us to close collaborate and have efficient production. Next slide. Smart charging. You can use these chargers for other electric vehicles in your depot, on campus, or in your community. Turnkey offering simplifies the process of installing charger infrastructure and getting your electric buses running. Again, it's a DC 60 kilowatt fast charging system to charge one bus from 0 to 100% in 3.3 hours. You can connect up to 4 dispensers to one cabinet up to 500 feet away. EV Julie does not have to be charged inside during cold weather temperatures. There are other available chargers available on the market. Next slide. Talk about battery capacity. We offer 220 kilowatt batteries. Batteries are limited to 88%, which gives us 194 kilowatts of usable capacity. Now, why do we limit that? We limit that to reduce battery degradation and increase longevity of the batteries. Next slide. Thomas Bus and Proterra also offer training. The training is broken down into 3 different groups: HV1, HV2, and HV3. We also have Julie 101 training that can be offered to the drivers and technicians as well. HV1 will cover the drivers and anybody that wants to drive a production Julie. HV2 covers HV1 training plus anyone that's wanting to work on low voltage. HV3 will cover HV1, HV2, and high voltage training. We will do this training. We will recommend that we do this training with all parties involved at 2 to 3 weeks before a bus is delivered. However, we will be offering some of this training online, but the HV3 and HV2 will be hands-on. Next slide. This is some of our C2 body, chassis, and Proterra battery warranty. We have 3 years, 50,000 miles on the bus body and chassis. On the battery, 8 years, 175,000 miles, 200,000 kilowatt throughput per battery pack. Proterra Powertrain offers 5 years, 100,000 miles on the traction motor, transmission, and inverter. Extended warranty is available up to 10 years. Next slide. I think I said that was it. And again, I want to say thank you for this opportunity to sit through this presentation. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to myself, or you can go on our website and I can be found there through the website. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Next up, we're going to have Gary Horvat from Navistar. He is the Vice President of E-Mobility. So take it away, Gary.
Thank you very much. I'm here to talk about what we're doing at IC Bus. And plus, you know, IC Bus is part of the Navistar family. And with that, you get the support of the whole Navistar International Truck IC Bus family, so that when you have issues, services, you can be sure that there's a dealer that's close by or a service center close by to take care of any of your needs. If you go to the next slide, please. So why IC Bus and next? Basically, you know, IC Bus is committed for the electrification of our school bus. Our IC team is working hand in hand with our e-mobility solution groups that we call Next. We use the latest technology to develop the electric school bus, and we're working to help the customers implement electric vehicles from the beginning of the process throughout the end. And I'll go through some more details. Anyone who takes the advantages of electric bus, there's a lot of fear and apprehension when you start down the journey, and we want to be sure that we're there with you lockstep, and at the same time that we work with you through all the steps, so there's no apprehensions, and we're there to support you and answer all your questions throughout the process. The next slide, please. What is next? Next is the e-mobility solution group within Navistar that we designed, that we help commercial trucks and bus implement electric vehicles. And what we're trying to do here is really, have the consulting approach that goes through, up and beyond the vehicle itself. It's one thing to buy the vehicle, but then there's all the other aspect of, making sure that it works for you, making sure that, the charging is there, and making sure it's the right application. So we're really, embracing that so that we can helping our end customers be sure that we have the best solutions. For Navistar, our world headquarters is in Lisle, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Our next technical center is in Rochester Hills, Michigan, and our bus manufacturing is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And one point for our manufacturing facility, we've been able to run throughout this whole COVID-19 period and being able to produce buses and making sure that we satisfy our customers' needs. So we were not shut down at all, and we've continued to make products throughout this whole time frame. We located our technical center in Michigan to be at the center and the heart of the automotive industry and the electrification, for not only between the OEMs, all the tier 1 suppliers, all the testing and support facilities. And we think we have the best combination of the latest state-of-the-art automotive technologies, and at the same time, leveraging that into commercial vehicles. We feel that until you have the OEM totally embrace the whole design and integrate that yourselves, is really get the optimum product. And you can see that we're not partnering with anyone. We're developing this and responsible for everything that we're going to talk about. We buy parts from different suppliers, but at the same time, the total integration and everything to make the product run is all designed, tested, validated, is all within the next e-mobility group and all within the Navistar family. If you go to the next slide, please. So the product that we have here is our CE electric school bus. You can see our performance between the peak power, continuous power, and the torque. It really, peak power is what's advertised. You really drive that continuous power. And through what some of the other speakers that we had, is it's fully integrated within the bus, and with both driving and also being able to capture energy within the regenerative braking mechanism. And by having that total systems approach that we have, we're able to really optimize the regenerative braking and to get the most mileage out of your bus. If you look at our battery capacities, we have 3 different sizes. Our base, which is 105 kilowatt hours, to 210 to 315. And what that allows us to do is, you as the end customer can get just the amount of battery that you need for your route, but that you're not paying excessive batteries costs of if you don't need it. If you have a short route and 50, 60 miles, you can get by with the base. Then it gets you for a lower cost product, and at the same time is don't pay for what you don't need. But at the other end, if you really need to go far, we have the largest capacity of anything that we've described here today, so you can get that maximum range. So we're really trying to optimize the capacity so that you get what you want and you get what you need, and you only pay for what you have to have. So that's what we're really targeting by having the 3 different battery configurations that you can use to go ahead to optimize the vehicle. Our timing, we're launching our first product at the end of this year, and then we're adding additional markets and expanding in 2021 as we roll this product out from our portfolio. You go to the next, please. Again, vehicle highlights, a lot of things the same that you've heard similar. We have, again, the 1772 AC DC charging, standard as part of our vehicle. So that comes in all vehicles. So it's future proof. So if you start with, either have 1 or 2 buses and you want to do AC charging, you can get by with the lower cost AC charger. If you want to go faster or, expand or go farther distances or charge midday, then you have the DC charging. So we thought it was important to future-proof the vehicle so that you're able to match the charging for what you need for the application. Also, we are vehicle to grid capable with UL certified chargers, so they are actually capable of doing what we're talking about, and that works that you can either help it to vehicle to building if you need it, or vehicle to grid. It gives you capabilities to power locally. At the same time, it's also a revenue potential that if you are able to tap off the battery itself during summer periods when the buses are not running and they're high electricity rates, it's a means of working through to be able to have a revenue generating capability so that you can offset some of your operating costs. The third thing is, again, we're part of International's vast dealer network and training programs. We have that. Our buses will be able to get service throughout with the IC bus dealers and also International trucks. They have over 500 dealers and training and service centers throughout the United States. So there's a huge number of opportunities, and so there's one within your neighborhood to be sure that you can have trained. Adaptive solutions, we really tailor towards our end customers who give you the optimized vehicle and performance, as I talked earlier about the battery, to be able to give you what you need and and not have you pay what you don't need. Different cabin options to maximize efficiencies. As one of the other speakers said, is that the heat generation is one of, other than driving the vehicle down the road, eats the most of the battery. We really try to optimize that. And then the last thing is for the charge port, we have that available in the front or in the back, and really depending on how you want to park and charge these vehicles, we want to make sure that we have those options for you, that you're not limited to one location and one side. We're able to adapt that in different locations of the vehicle. Next, please. So our main side here is how we really work through it for our customers. We call it our 4 C's, and basically it's the whole procurement process and the implementation. The first one up front is the consulting, and what we'll do is work with our customers to really determine what makes sense for you for an electric vehicle. Understanding the route, understanding the terrain, understand if you want to just charge overnight, if you want to charge in midday. And we really want to make sure that we optimize that product for you so that you get the most optimum vehicle and the most cost-effective vehicle as you can. So we work with that to make sure we don't want to have a disappointed customer of being disappointed by what the vehicle can and can't do. We want to make sure that in a colder location in Montana that you have the right vehicle and you have the right conditions. With all that going on, so we want to make sure there's no surprises throughout the whole process itself. The second item is the charging infrastructure, and we have partners that we work with that will work with you directly and really developing the requirements for the charging and infrastructure. We have an online tool that you can use to get information and really understand what kind of charging that you want to do. At the same time, it understands what your electrical network is right now to start with, so that you only put in the minimum that you need to charge the vehicles itself. What we found in our initial implementations, that for a lot of the customers, by just optimizing the system they currently have, that they can really get by without any additional infrastructure and have the optimum charging. But again, like we mentioned earlier, it's both AC and DC charging that you can use. That's standard. The third one is constructing. We configure and build our trucks in our Navistar facility. They go down the line just like any other powered product that we have there. So all the quality checks and all the end of line testing to make sure that the quality is there, we take care of it. And then the last thing is connecting. So after you have the vehicle and it's on the road, we're able to monitor and communicate the performance of the bus with our telematics, so that we're able to know what's going on in the vehicle, what's going on with the batteries, understanding driver performance, and then really work with the customers to try to optimize the solution itself. So what we're really trying to have is from the initial idea of the bus all the way to ongoing life and service down the road, that we're with you as a partner and working through all the details that we have to make sure that you have the right product in the optimum configuration. And I think that's it. So we're going to the last slide will be, I think this is our last slide. So thank you very much for your attention. And I think we'll open it up to questions for the entire group now.
Great. Greg, you're going to need to take yourself off mute, and I'm unmuting you, Jim. So again, if you want to type in your question using the dashboard, feel free to do that. If you're having trouble using that, or you don't have access to that dashboard, feel free to text me your question again at 406-431-0171. And we have our first question from Peruse. Apologies if I didn't get the name right. Are vehicle-to-grid options for each OEM limited to DC, or can they also support AC charging?
For Thomas Bus, it is limited to DC charging.
And this is James with Bluebird. Yes, you do need DC fast charging for vehicle-to-grid with Bluebird.
And for IC, our initial introduction is DC, but again, we're also looking into being able to see about AC also. Well, right now it's only DC.
Great, thank you all. While we're waiting for other people to type in questions, one thing that I just want to touch on, because we threw a lot of letters and numbers at you in these presentations, is that none of this technology is new to Montana. We don't have an electric-powered school bus in Montana, but the underlying technology is already here. You look at the chargers that each of these buses use. We have those in Montana. In fact, using another program within the energy office at DEQ, we're hoping to deploy an additional 17 level 2 chargers and 3 more level 3 chargers across Montana. So for example, if you use any of these buses for a field trip, and I'm just going to pick out some examples, not because any of these communities might or might not be on this webinar, but for example, if you drove the 29 miles from Stevensville to Missoula for a field trip, if you needed to top off and get a little bit of extra charge, you can use one of those level 2 chargers or level 3 chargers. There's one at Walmart when you make that field trip. Same if you wanted to drive from, say, I don't know, Cascade to Great Falls. Great Falls does have one level 2 charger right now. I believe that there's another business up on the Northwest Bypass that will be starting up another level 2 shortly. But again, if you were to make that drive and you felt the need to top off, but all these buses, as you saw from the presentations, are able to make those, both of those drives are 28, 29 miles. You can make that round trip on both of these, or on any of these buses. Again, the underlying technology is here. With Thomas-built buses, Greg was mentioning that the electric drivetrain is using Proterra technology. If any of you have been to Missoula, the Mountain Line Transit Agency, as well as the University of Montana, both use Proterra-built buses. Now, this is separate from Thomas. These are transit buses, but the underlying drivetrain is the same with the electric technology. But they perform the same, I assume, as the Bluebird or the IC buses would as well. But if you ever happen to be over in Missoula and it's safe enough, I guess, for you to take the transit buses over on campus or throughout town, you should look at those buses and feel how smooth those rides are, how well they perform, and how quiet they are as well. If anybody has a question, feel free to type it in, or again, text me at 406-431-0171. I got another question from Peruse. I know Thomas mentioned a battery warranty. Do Bluebird or IC offer a form of battery warranty?
So this is James from Bluebird. Yes, we do. Our standard is 5-year. However, we do have extended warranties, and we will discuss those on a case-by-case. And that, again, would run through your dealership, Hartley School Bus.
For IC bus, we have warranty too. Part of it, again, is the understanding exactly, it's very similar with Thomas. It's by years, and also it's by battery throughput. So we do have a battery warranty that is available. It's the 7 years, but we want to make sure that there's an understanding that battery throughput is part of that warranty period too. So it's very similar to what Thomas had mentioned.
Thank you both. Again, feel free to type in your question. On the things I just mentioned about the charging station, ease of use between a regular car, a regular electric car, and the buses, plug-ins, or the electric drivetrains. If any of the three presenters want to chime in on or expand on anything I said, feel free to do that while we're waiting for more questions.
So this is James again, and I love everything that you said. One of the things that we have found to work extremely well is ride and drives. So we love to get potential customers, citizens on our electric buses, and we would love to have a ride and drive event there in Montana with you, Neil.
Yeah, and Thomas, we're in the process of building 4 demos that we're going to be using for ride and drives throughout the country as well. So we'll be looking to get those out to the market and out to the streets very, very soon.
Yep, there's no better way to try out than get on. So we're having a similar thing at IC.
We have a question from Jameson, who asked, "Who are you recommending as a provider for level 2 and level 3 chargers? What is being provided for charging infrastructure management software as well?" Well, I'll start off with that, and I don't know if the three want to jump in, Jameson, but for the charging stations that I mentioned, the DEQ's Energy Office is funding, and the ones that are already out there, we don't recommend any particular manufacturer. We can't really, but there's a lot of them out there, and I think that if you go around to some of the existing ones around the state, which you can find through the U.S. Department of Energy's Alternative Fueling Station Locator map. You can type in a zip code or look at the entire state of Montana and see all the dots that pop up for electric vehicle charging stations. You can go around and see what's available out there. Similarly with software, they're all kind of different. Here in Helena, we have 3 level 2 chargers that are publicly available. There's one at Starbucks, one at Suds Hut, and one at Home to Suites Hotel, just off of the interstate. They're all different. The Suds Hut one you can use for free. At Starbucks, they charge you a whole $1 to use it. I assume that the one at the hotel is free as well. I haven't looked at it myself, but I have used the other 2. So it's really a lot of different things right now. Do any of the 3 bus companies want to jump in on either of those questions?
Yeah, sure. This is James again. And as you recall in my presentation, I talked about the turnkey solution, and this is a perfect question that we would run through with the customer. So Bluebird, first and foremost, we are agnostic. We do not have a preference on who you use for level 2 or level 3, but we welcome the opportunity to sit down with you and go through various providers and let you see what they are offering, and we'll run through all those details with you. So again, I encourage everyone to get a hold of your Bluebird dealership, and they will step through those items with you.
Yeah, for Thomas, talk about chargers. We kind of recommend the Proterra charger, 60 kilowatt charger, because it does offer the vehicle to grid. But there are other if you're not interested in that, and you are able, there are other chargers out there on the market, 24 kilowatts. We are also in partners with have a partnership with ChargePoint as well. But there are other chargers that will work with our bus. But that would be part of our process in the very beginning with our customers and our dealers to understand what the customer's needs are and what helps them best and the longevity and durability of the process.
Yeah, as far as I see, now the one great thing for all the school bus manufacturers is that we've all chosen the standard protocols, so there's no proprietary protocol. And the same thing too is it's the same as automotive. So an automotive charger will work on any of our buses. So again, having that compatibility, it really works out great for all of us. And as the network expands for cars, it will also help for the school buses, and also that the same. The one thing that we have also is that we're agnostic to chargers. We have ones that we make sure that they're certified, because even all chargers that are to the standard, sometimes some have a little bit of nuances. So we like to work with you to be sure that the charger that you select is 100% capable and compatible for what we have. But again, we have different manufacturers that we deal with, and whatever works out the best for the end customer, we're happy to work with that, because we're all using the standards to make sure the charging works, for all of us. And again, you can charge a Bluebird or a Thomas or an IC bus at the same charger, which is really a great opportunity for leveraging the infrastructure too.
Hey, Neil, I'd like to just jump back in on one comment. So we are definitely agnostic. Now, again, we love showing all the different options. And one of the options that we do have on a DC fast charge is we have a program going with Nuvve where the customer can potentially get a DC fast charger valued at roughly, let's say, I think I put out there 40 to 60,000. So at that value plus an additional 20,000 for infrastructure, so potentially up to $80,000 free. Now that needs to be discussed with the customer and worked out, but that is an option. And I say that as when I say we have these programs for the customers, again, we're agnostic on who they use, but we want to put all the cards on the table and let the customer decide which way they want to go. And to the point that the gentleman said before, all the buses, they accept the DC fast charge, and all of our buses, IC, Thomas, and Bluebird, could be charged with these various providers.
Thank you. I think we might have time for one more question if someone wants to send it in real quick, and there it is from Ryland. To clarify, the TBB Proterra battery warranty is 8 years. IC mentioned the TBB battery warranty was 5 years. IC, do you want to talk about that? Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I must have missed it, but yeah, just a follow up. It is, our battery packs are warranted for 8 years at 175,000 miles, 200,000 throughput hours.
Great. Well, I'm going to go ahead.
Neil, let me ask a question. If anyone who's attending this webinar has a question after we hang up, are they allowed to type in questions to you and then you would distribute those? Is that something we'll be doing?
I think that probably the best way is for people to email me using my email address on the screen, and I can certainly forward it on to all three if it's a general question, or if there's a specific question about one of the companies, I'll forward it on to them and you can directly respond to that. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
Great.
Yep.
Well, I'd like to close by saying again that DEQ is committed to finding ways to support any school district who wants to pursue an electric school bus. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions, including how a demonstration project and partnership might work, using the contact information you see on the screen. That's also the last slide of this total presentation that you can download from the handouts drop-down menu in your dashboard for GoToMeeting. Hopefully, school districts are aware of the currently open funding opportunity through DEQ for DERA funding. The application deadline is coming up this Tuesday, the 30th, but we'll have another DERA funding opportunity coming up this October, which gives school districts time to plan for an electric bus or whatever school bus your needs are. Thank you to Bluebird, Thomas, and Navistar for taking the time to join us today. Today's webinar was recorded, so please contact me if you'd like to listen again or share it with others. And also feel free to share that handout download with anybody that you think might be interested. Thank you also to the Office of Public Instruction, the School Board Association, and the School Administrators of Montana for helping share the information on registering for this webinar. And finally, thank you to everyone who joined us today. Please follow up with me with any questions, and again, I'll forward those to whoever would be the best one to answer it. And have a great rest of the week.